Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another important topic. And today's topic is actually about some remedial measures. And today's topic is on a stotra or hymn. So, stotra is in Sanskrit. It's actually a hymn in English, what it's called in Sanskrit as stotra. So we'll be discussing about a very important stotra, which is again, like I mentioned, a hymn, and how this stotra can be a remedy for various afflictions in a birth chart. So there is a mythological story behind this stotra, and of course we're going to discuss that. But at the same time, it has a big connection with astrology, Vedic astrology, because through the stotra, one can provide remedies to some afflictions or some negative influences in the chart. And primarily, this stotra is connected with the sun god, the planet sun, and people whose birth chart there is a problem related to sun. This stotra can be very, very effective. And this stotra actually is was recited by Lord Rama just before he was ready to start his battle with the demon king Ravana. So it has a reference to Ramayana, and more so, it has a reference in Valmiki Ramayana. There are two Ramayanas. One is written by sage Tulsidas, the other is written by sage Valmiki. So Aditya Hridaya Stotra, or this hymn, actually is compiled by sage Valmiki. And of course, the originator or the composition of this stotra or hymn has been done by sage Agastya. So his name, if you write Agastya, you can pronounce it correctly, Agastya, sage Agastya. And sage Agastya actually gave this hymn or stotra to Lord Rama before fighting the demon king Ravan, because Rama or Lord Rama had lost a lot of energy fighting a lot of demons before he was going for this major final battle against the demon king Ravan, and he needed the energy. And who else other than the sun god, who is energy himself, can provide the required energy to Lord Rama before he goes into battle to fight Ravana. So based on this requirement, sage Agastya composes this hymn and provides it to Rama, and Rama prays to the sun god, because this hymn is nothing but a praise to the sun god, and the sun god blesses him with the required energy and the luck to be able to get the strength to defeat his enemy, Lord Rama's enemy, Ravana. So like I said, this hymn or stotra is directly related to the planet sun, and it can be used by people who have major afflictions related to sun, or people whose energy levels are low, or people who are going into a major battle. It necessarily does not have to be a physical war, but we all fight our day-to-day battles. Our life is full of battles on a day-to-day basis, and also our major battle in life. We all have to go through our Mahabharata at one time or the other, at one point in our lives or the other. And this hymn or the praise to sun god comes in extremely, extremely handy at that time, where we need the required energy. So I would like to not translate, but kind of translate and explain you what these verses are about. It is, of course, once again, praise to the sun god, and this is how it goes. The hymn goes that by chanting Aditya Hridaya, which is very, very auspicious and very beneficial, one can be victorious in battle. So, like I said, it's not a direct translation, but the meaning of this hymn is such. And if you want the stotra in Sanskrit to recite, you will get it from anywhere. It is easily available. But of course, this recommendation of this stotra comes in with a disclaimer that do not just blindly recite it, do it under the guidance of a expert Vedic scholar, and only when there is a recommendation and an approval of the Vedic scholar and how it is to be read, that is also extremely important. One can begin chanting this hymn to the praise of the sun god. So this sun god, like I said, this prayer, the meaning in this hymn or stotra, like I just mentioned, says that this is a very Aditya Hridayam is a very auspicious and beneficial stotra, and one can be victorious in battle. It is mentioned in the stotra itself that one can be victorious in battle. The hymn is dedicated once again to the sun god, and this will result once you pray to the sun god through the stotra, and it's a part of the stotra, it's mentioned there in the stotra itself, that it will result in destroying all enemies and bring one victory and happiness, which will stay forever. And it is also described in the stotra or hymn that this is a supreme prayer, and it is one of the best amongst the auspicious prayers, and it has the ability to destroy sins, all worries and sorrow, and increase longevity of life, very important, and it provides prosperity as well. And worshipping the sun god, who has been described in this stotra or hymn as the ruler of the worlds and the lord of the universe. So there are different Puranas and different scriptures and different places where different entities have been given this description of being the lord of the universe. But here in this stotra or hymn, in specific terms, Lord Sun has been described as the lord of the universe. And of course, as we know, that all the gods, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, they're all connected, and the planets are all connected. So one shouldn't believe that if it's written the sun god is the lord of the universe, Lord Vishnu is not the lord of the universe, or Lord Shiva is not the lord of the universe. They're all connected. All these godly entities, as per Hinduism, they're all connected. So here in this stotra, he has been described as the lord of the universe, and he's been described as to bring light to the universe, and he actually is worshipped by the devas or the gods and the asuras alike, or the demons alike. So he's above all, and he nourishes and energizes people through his rays. And he's also described here, like I just mentioned, all gods are connected. He's described here as Brahma, who's the creator, Vishnu, who is the preserver, and Shiva, who's the destroyer, Skanda, who's the son of Shiva, Prajapati, who's the son of Brahma and who started the human race, the powerful Indra, who is the king of the heavens and the lord of the gods, Kubera, who is the god of wealth, Kala, who is the eternal time, Yama, who's the god of death, Soma, which is the moon god, and Varuna, who's the god of the seas and the oceans. So he's been described as all. And if you refer to the Bhagavad Gita, of course, Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna has also described himself as everything. He is everything, like the Brahma, the Vishnu, the Shiva, the Skanda, Prajapati, everything what I just mentioned here. So, and the reason why I'm mentioning is that, there is a connection there between the godly entities as described in Hindu scriptures. So don't get confused here. Shiva, there's no difference between Vishnu and Shiva and Brahma and Sun and the gods and Krishna. They're all very well connected. And we'll get into a detail in that as to what has been described in the Puranas as to how they are connected in some other video. But I'm right now mentioning about what's been mentioned in the Aditya Hridaya Stotram, which was recited in praise of the sun god, so that Lord Rama could get the required energy to fight enemy, to fight the battle with full energy, and to defeat the enemy rather. He's also been described in this stotra or hymn as the eight Vasus. There are eight Vasus, as we know. The Maruts, the Vayu, which is the wind god, the Pitras, which is the ancestors, Agni, which is the fire god, Prana, which is the life force in all of us, and the maker of six seasons. There are six seasons as per Hindu scriptures. He is the son of Aditi, and if in our earlier videos on one of the nakshatras we have seen how Aditi is described as the wife of sage Kashyap. I've discussed that in detail, and she's the mother of the 12 Adityas. So sun god, of course, has been described as the son of Aditi, which is the wife of sage Kashyap. And he's been described as a brilliant golden color, and also he is the maker of daylight, and he dispels darkness with his golden hue. That's how he's been described. He has 7 horses. In the Puranas, the sun god has been described as as riding on a chariot with 7 horses. So it's been described here in this hymn as well that he has 7 horses tied to his chariot, or who drive his chariot rather, and he infuses his life in humans, and actually not just humans but all living beings, with his rays, which are so full of energy. And he's also a destroyer of the cold and the snow and the fog. That's how he's been described as, and that's so true. We see on a day-to-day basis how the light or the rays of the sun destroy the cold and the snow and the fog. And he's the bearer of fire. So we know that, sun creates fire, or it itself is a ball of fire as we see it, or as science explains it. And he's also been described as a ruler of the sky, remover of darkness, and the master of the 3 Vedas. The Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, and the Sama Veda. I don't know why they have not described in this hymn as he being a master of the Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda is actually a compilation of magical mantras. But in this hymn, he's been described as the master of 3 Vedas, and the friend of Varuna, who is the lord of the oceans and water. And he also has been described as who can cause rain as well, and he's extremely brilliant and who sustains the universe. So this is how Lord Rama praised Lord Sun to get the required energy to fight his enemy. And of course, this is one of a remedy for people who have low energy levels and whose sun is weak or debilitated or afflicted. But once again, with the disclaimer that do not just use it without consulting an expert Vedic astrologer or a Vedic scholar rather, who can explain you the way to read the hymn and what are the necessary requirements or other things or other requirements which have to be done as far as prayers to sun god is being done through this stotra or hymn called the Aditya Hridaya Stotram. Just don't go blindly and start reading it without contacting an astrologer and a scholar. And of course, it does provide victory. There's no doubt about it, and we've seen that in the case of Lord Rama with the suggestion of Sage Agastya. He read this hymn rather, or stotra, in praise of Lord Sun, and he came out victorious. So there's no doubt about the effectiveness of of this great prayer to sun god. And also he's been described earlier, he was described as a knowledge, having the knowledge of the three Vedas, which are the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, and Sama Veda. And later on in the other couplets, he's been also described as the protector of all the four Vedas, which is including the Atharva Veda. So there is a connection there as well. And after performing the required necessary way of doing or performing the prayers here, Lord Rama sipping water thrice. I don't know why that is mentioned. That must be one of the ways of performing this or reading this this stotra or this hymn. Rama, after gazing at the sun with devotion, recited this hymn 3 times. It's been very, very clearly mentioned here in Valmiki Ramayana that Rama recited this hymn, Aditya Hridaya Stotra, thrice, and then lifted his bow and then came on to fight his enemy. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic soon. Goodbye.